And this was a pretty significant move announced yesterday, D, as one of the most highly productive and decorated FCS quarterbacks of all time. Mark Gronowski from South Dakota State announced that he is entering the transfer portal. And Pete Thamel kind of compared this move to what Cam Ward did last year, where he was exploring his options in terms of NFL, gathering all the info that he could at that time to figure out kind of where he stacked up in the situation, but at the same time putting himself into the portal, giving himself an opportunity to talk to some of these other schools. Still has a couple weeks here to officially declare for the draft if he decided to do that. But you're looking at a big physical quarterback in Gronowski, all-time winningest quarterback in FCS history, tied there with 49 wins, 49-6 records, threw for over 10,000 yards and 93 touchdowns in his career, back-to-back national titles as well. So the guy wins. And this is a guy that, again, if he did not decide to go to the NFL here at this point, I would expect to have some pretty big suitors because of the win-loss record, the physicality that he brings to the position. I reached out to a coach at the college level who's familiar with him, and he says, look, he's a guy who can really distribute the ball to talent and run that QB power, which obviously can take the soul of a defense over the course of a game. So really interesting option here. If you're a school looking for a quarterback, again, you kind of have to build your offense around him in a sense, D, but there's a lot of schools who would love to have this guy.
Yeah, you mentioned the wins. He won the Walter Payton Award for the top FCS offensive player in 23, so he's a good individual player as well. 10,000 yards, 93 touchdowns throwing in his career there. His passing stats aren't extraordinarily prolific game to game. Remember, South Dakota State, played in a lot of blowouts. They were a complete team. They were one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country at that level. So it wasn't all on him to just air the ball out. Watching some of the film, big physical guy from the Chicago area, 6'3", 230. Just the physicality part going from FCS to FBS, I don't see that being a problem. That's why his other option is the NFL, is because of that physicality. And one thing that jumps out watching his film, he kind of has a strange release, right? But the ball is coming out with a lot of velocity. He has NFL arm strength. The comparison I would make based on what I've seen is a Will Howard for Ohio State, formerly Kansas State. He can run that quarterback power. He can throw. He's not going to throw for 400 yards, but he's going to do just enough to win you the game and score touchdowns. So to me, that if you're looking for a Will Howard type player, and obviously Will Howard going to play here coming up in the college football playoff and is having success, I could see him being that kind of player for that kind of team. I don't think he'd come back to college to play for a team that's struggling. I think he'd probably come to a team that's going to make him look good and potentially elevate the same way Cam Ward did, where Cam Ward, not coming from the FCS level, but at the now G5, at that time, Power 5, but a bad team in a Power 5, going to a better team and moving from day 3 pick to day 1. I'm not saying that Gronowski's that kind of talent of a Cam Ward, that potentially, top overall pick, top quarterback pick. I'm not saying that, but as you saw Pete Thamel say in his tweet, which I'm sure he got from from Gronowski's agent.
Well, and here you have Jim Nagy, the head of the Senior Bowl, tweeting. This is back in September, but he said the Senior Bowl is looking live at South Dakota State versus Southeast Louisiana. If there's a sub-FBS quarterback with a shot at getting invited to Mobile, it's Go Jacks football quarterback, Walter Payton Award winner Mark Gronowski, 6'2" and a third, 235 pounds, 10.5-inch hands. Plenty of draftable love from the NFL scouts, and I'll make it bigger. You can see the size on him as well. So this is a guy who can take a hit. Again, some development in terms of his passing, D. But and you mentioned this is a guy, if he does decide to transfer, I would expect him to go to a team that has a pretty nice situation around him and can potentially win a lot of games next season.
100%. And I think the experience is really what teams, as you go forward in college football portal, in the NFL draft, I think there's going to be a premium placed on starts and experience. You look at the NFL side of things with the Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, the success they've had. Conversely, a guy like Trey Lance, talking about an FCS quarterback there from North Dakota State. he obviously was not successful at the pro level, at least hasn't been without having very many snaps. This is a guy with a ton of snaps. And you look at the college game, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, these are guys that have played a ton of football and, of course, have had success at the college level. We'll see what happens in the pros. But to me, that's kind of where both games are going. Now that you have the portal, is they want to get guys with experience, and Gronowski has that experience along with the physical tools to potentially give you more. I like this pickup at the high power 4 level. I think, just any team that's in the market for a portal quarterback, and just you look at the list, some names have been checked off. We talked about Notre Dame not looking for a quarterback, right? So, is Ohio State going to go with Julian Sane? Let's say they do. USC, are they going to go with Mayava and Houston Longstreet? Would they bring in a portal guy?
This guy doesn't really fit what USC does, though, normally.
That's the thing. You did have Jalen Hurts with Lincoln Riley having success. So, is he a fit there? If Milroe moves on at Alabama, would he go with Kalen DeBoer and potentially work there? Obviously, Kalen DeBoer, I believe, where's Kalen DeBoer from? Because he is from that region. Let's see. So he is from Millbank, South Dakota, Kalen DeBoer. So that's where he was born and raised. So, you could see maybe there's a connection there where a South Dakota guy brings another South Dakota guy down to Alabama.
Carl Olive asking, what about Michigan for a fit?
Great question. They just brought in Mikey Keene from
Fresno.
From Fresno. So he's going to be, I think, the bridge quarterback to Bryce Underwood, who's that 5-star number 1 player overall quarterback that could potentially start by the end of the year. So Michigan would have made sense, I think, before Keene, but with bringing in Keene, I think what they're saying is, look, we want to bring in a veteran that can get us through a game and maybe win the job, maybe make Bryce Underwood work, but Bryce Underwood has a chance to start there as a true freshman. He's getting paid a lot as a true freshman. So that one, I don't see it as much now, maybe before. North Carolina with Bill Belichick, you could see that being something that materializes potentially, because I heard they were a big player in the Mendoza sweepstakes. They're trying to spend NIL money. Belichick can sell, hey, I produced Tom Brady, etc., to a Gronowski. So that would be a team I think would be one to watch. And then Miami also in the ACC, a team that's going to be looking for a transfer portal quarterback. That would be one to watch. Oregon, are they going to go with Dante Moore, or do they want to return to the portal after getting Dylan Gabriel, another team to keep an eye on?